Coming in from the Israel-Hamas war, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has given out a statement appreciating and lauding the Israeli Defense Forces as they march further with the ground offensive into the Gaza Strip. Israel's soldiers have now taken control of the Hamas parliament. Netanyahu calls it an extraordinary achievement. Netanyahu has added, this is not an operation simply, but it is a war to the end. He has added that to turn the tide from the worst situation imaginable, this says a lot. This is also what we are doing now with the forces inside. This is not an operation, nor a round. It's a war to the end. It's important that you know this. It's not lip service. And if we do not finish Hamas, it will return. He's called it an extraordinary achievement, truly amazing. There are no words. This is a message from Netanyahu to the IDF. Here's what the Prime Minister of Israel has said. Listen.
הישג בלתי רגיל, באמת, אדיר, אין מילים. אני חושב שמה שעשיתם פה, הכרעתם פה את הקרב. אתם פשוט הכרעתם פה את הקרב. לוחמות ולוחמים. בתעוזה בלתי רגילה, גם בתושייה בלתי רגילה, אני חייב להגיד. כל הכבוד להם. זה אומר המון. במצב הכי גרוע שיכול להיות להפוך את הקרב, זה אומר המון. זה מה שאנחנו עושים עכשיו גם כן. לקוחות בפנים. וזה לא מבצע, זה לא סבב, זה מלחמה עד הסוף, עד הסוף, חשוב לי שתדעו את זה. זה לא מן השפה אל החוץ, זה מהלב החוצה וגם מהשכל החוצה. אם אנחנו לא גומרים אותם, זה יחזור.
All right, Gaurav Sawant is now joining me on the latest on this. Gaurav, this is definitely a big moment because can we say that this is more about symbolism of taking over the parliament where Hamas was in control and now with the Israeli flag there? But what happens here on? How one should mark this moment for the Israel-Hamas war in the Gaza Strip? Gaurav.
Pooja, you're absolutely right. Symbolically, a very major message goes out now with the Israeli Defense Forces inside what was earlier as the Hamas ruling base, the Hamas parliament. And Israel's flag flies high there. That's point one. Point two, even on the beach of Gaza, now you have the Israeli flag, and the Israeli forces are now well and truly in control of the Gaza city. But it's not so much the city on the surface, but it's the city beneath that is a cause for grave concern as far as Israeli forces are concerned. The Gaza metro, as that underground maze of tunnels is known, that is where the Hamas headquarters is, and that is how Hamas operates. They live in the city, beneath the city. So whether it's the Al-Shifa Hospital or the Al-Rantisi Hospital or the Al-Quds Hospital or the Indonesian hospital, all these hospitals, according to Israeli forces, remain the command and control structure, the weapons storage bases, the rest and recuperation bases. In fact, Rantisi is supposed to be a children's hospital, but underneath Rantisi, not only were hostages kept, but that was also a place where injured Hamas soldiers were kept. So all of it seemed to indicate that Hamas has the ability to still operate in these areas while they're being pushed back to an extent. It does remain a huge challenge for Israeli forces to be able to neutralize that area where Hamas has the ability to operate now, Pooja.
Gaurav, with the Israeli Prime Minister appreciating the forces as well, but the fact remains this is not an end by any means. Of course, the priority and the focus will be to ensure that the hostages are released. What is happening on that front? Do you think the ground offensive will continue for the next few days, weeks, months also? But then what happens to the hostages? Is there a interaction, discussion, deal that is being struck on this?
So the chief of Mossad, the deputy chief of Mossad, the former chief of Mossad, they flew into Qatar and they've been speaking to Hamas through interlocutors, whether it's the government in Qatar, but the administration there, or through interlocutors. The current British Home Secretary, James Cleverly, who was then the Foreign Secretary of Britain, he flew into that area. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, he's repeatedly been flying into this area, and they're talking to all interlocutors with the aim of being able to somehow negotiate a settlement that the hostages are released. 4 hostages were released so far, 2 Americans and 2 elderly Israelis. But the threat remains extremely high even now to the other 240. The Al-Rantisi Hospital, and in moments from now, our viewers will be seeing those images, Pooja. That is where a lot of hostages were kept, according to Israel, and they still remain in harm's way.
Gaurav Sawant is tracking all the latest on that. Gaurav, I request you to stay on. I'll need your perspective and updates because you've covered the war as well. Specifically, the October 7th massacre, the reason that you see this ground offensive by the IDF today.